The observation station floated in the shadow of Saturn's largest moon, hidden among the ice and rock of Titan's orbit. Inside the metal walls, Ambassador Sarah Chen stared at the holographic display showing streams of alien text scrolling past her tired eyes. She had been doing this for 3 years now, watching and listening to a galaxy that did not know Earth was listening back. "Another transmission from the council chambers," said Dr. Kenji Tanaka, pushing his glasses up his nose as he leaned over his console. His fingers danced across the keyboard, translating the alien languages into English. "They're discussing the Perseus arm expansion again." Sarah nodded but said nothing. She had learned that silence was powerful. It was a lesson Earth had learned too, though not everyone agreed with it. Outside the station, back on Earth and across the moon colonies and Mars settlements, millions of humans debated every day whether they should announce themselves to the galaxy. Should they send a message saying, "We are here," to the stars? But the government had decided to wait, to watch, to learn first. It had been 42 years since Dr. Elizabeth Park had invented the Shaw Kimura drive, the engine that bent space and let human ships travel faster than light. 42 years since humanity could finally reach the stars, and in those decades they had found that they were not alone. The galaxy was full of life, full of civilizations, and full of voices talking to each other across the darkness. The Galactic Council was the loudest voice of all, 47 different alien species, all joined together in an alliance that had ruled known space for thousands of years. They had laws, trade routes, military fleets, and councils that decided the fate of entire worlds, and they knew about Earth. "Sarah, you need to hear this," Kenji said, his voice tight with something that might have been anger. She walked over to his station, her boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. The holographic display showed an image of the Council's Grand Chamber, a massive room on a station called Unity Prime. Hundreds of aliens sat in curved rows, their bodies strange and different. Some looked like insects, others like living plants, and some were shapes that hurt to look at too long. A being that looked like a floating jellyfish made of purple light was speaking. The translation program put English words at the bottom of the screen. "The matter of the Sol system primitives is hardly worth our time," the jellyfish alien said. Its voice was translated into a flat, emotionless tone. "They have barely crawled out of their gravity well. Their technology is crude. Their society is fractured. They are warlike, violent, and barbaric." Another alien, this one covered in blue scales with 6 arms, made a sound that the translator marked as laughter. "Presentient primates playing with rocket ships. Should we send them a gift basket of bronze tools?" More laughter rippled through the chamber. Sarah felt her jaw tighten, but she kept her face calm. Kenji looked at her with wide eyes. "They've known about us," he whispered. "All this time they've known." "Keep recording," Sarah said quietly. "I want every word." The purple jellyfish continued. "The observation protocols are clear. Species that have not developed stable faster-than-light travel are not eligible for contact. Species that show continued patterns of self-destruction are not eligible for contact. Species that cannot unify their own homeworld are not eligible for contact. These Earth creatures meet none of our standards. Motion to formally ignore all human activities in their local space," said another alien that looked like a walking tree. "Let them play in their sandbox. If they become a problem, we will deal with them then." "Seconded," said the blue-scaled alien. "All in favor?" A chorus of alien sounds filled the chamber. The motion passed. Earth was officially beneath their notice, not even worth a conversation. Sarah watched the transmission end and stood in silence for a long moment. Behind her, Kenji was muttering to himself in Japanese, words that his translator probably would not have put on any official report. "Get me a secure line to Admiral Webb," Sarah said finally, "and start pulling all our intelligence on Council military capabilities." Kenji looked up at her. "Are we going to tell them who we really are?" Sarah thought about that question. She thought about the human colonies that had been quietly built on 12 different star systems over the past 2 decades. She thought about the fleet of warships being constructed in the asteroid belt, hidden from casual observation. She thought about the thousands of scientists and engineers who had been studying every piece of Council technology they could find, reverse engineering it, improving it, making it better. "No," she said softly. "We're going to keep doing exactly what we've been doing. We're going to watch them. We're going to learn everything about them. And we're going to build. Build what? Whatever we need to make sure that when we do introduce ourselves, they will never laugh at us again." The secure communication line opened, and Admiral Marcus Webb's face appeared on the screen. He was a man in his 60s with gray hair cut military short, and eyes that seemed to calculate angles and trajectories even in casual conversation. He sat in his office on the military station circling Earth, and behind him through the window, the blue planet turned slowly in the darkness. "Ambassador Chen," he said with a slight nod, "I take it you have something interesting for me." "The Council knows we exist," Sarah said without introduction. "They've known for years. They've decided we're not worth their time. They called us barbaric primitives." Webb's expression did not change, but Sarah saw his fingers drum once on his desk. That was the only sign of emotion he would show. "I see," he said. "Do you have the full recording?" "Sending it now." There was silence as Webb watched the Council transmission on his own screen. Sarah could not see what he was looking at, but she watched his face. She had worked with Marcus Webb for 5 years now, coordinating Earth's secret expansion into space, and she had learned to read him. "They're not wrong about our history," Webb said when the recording finished. "We have been fractured. We have been violent. But we're not anymore," Sarah said. The United Earth government had formed 20 years ago, finally bringing every nation under one banner after decades of negotiation. It was not perfect, but it worked. "We've changed." "Yes," Webb agreed, "we have. And they don't know that because they haven't bothered to look closely." He leaned forward. "How do you want to proceed?" "We continue the current plan," Sarah said. "Quiet expansion, hidden colonies, technology development. We build our strength where they can't see it, and we learn everything about them." "Agreed. I'll accelerate the shipbuilding schedule. If they think we're primitives, let's show them what primitives can do when properly motivated." Webb paused. "How long do you think we have before they notice us?" Sarah looked at the star charts on her screen, showing the 12 human colonies spreading out from Earth like seeds on the wind. "If we're careful, 5 years, maybe 10. Then let's make them count." The communication ended, and Sarah was alone with Kenji again in the observation station. Outside the windows, Saturn's rings glowed in the distant sunlight, beautiful and cold. "Do you think they'll ever respect us?" Kenji asked quietly. Sarah thought about that question for a long time before answering. "I think," she said slowly, "that respect is not something you ask for. It's something you earn. And if they won't give it freely, then we'll make them see us differently." She turned back to her console, to the endless stream of Council transmissions, to the alien voices that filled the galaxy with their arrogance and their certainty that they were superior. Earth stayed quiet. But Earth was listening, and Earth was preparing for the day when silence would no longer be enough. 5 years had passed since that day in the observation station. 5 years of watching, building, and expanding into the darkness between stars. The human colonies now numbered 12 systems, each one carefully hidden from Council sensors, each one contributing to Earth's growing strength. The shipyards in the asteroid belt worked day and night, and humanity's fleet grew in silence. But silence could not last forever. The colony ship Hope's Journey had left Earth 3 years ago, carrying 5,000 colonists to a world they would call New Horizons. It was humanity's oldest and largest colony outside of the Sol system, a green world with breathable air and oceans that reminded the settlers of home. The ship's crew had orders to avoid all Council traffic lanes, to stay invisible, to follow the protocols that had kept humanity safe. But space was vast, and probability was a cruel master. The Hope's Journey dropped out of faster than light, traveled directly into the path of a Council patrol fleet. Captain Jennifer Rodriguez sat in her command chair and watched the alien ships surround her vessel. There were 6 of them, sleek and dark, with designs that suggested they were built for war. Her communication officer looked at her with frightened eyes. "They're hailing us, Captain," he said. Jennifer straightened her uniform and nodded. There was no running now, no hiding. After 5 years of Earth's careful silence, first contact was happening whether they wanted it or not. "Open the channel." The main screen filled with an alien face. It looked like a mantis made of crystal, with multiple eyes that refracted light into rainbow patterns. When it spoke, the translator turned its clicking sounds into English words. "Unidentified vessel. You are in Council-controlled space without authorization. Identify yourself immediately or be destroyed." Jennifer took a deep breath. "This is Captain Jennifer Rodriguez of the human colony ship Hope's Journey. representing the United Earth government. We come in peace and request permission to continue to our destination. There was a pause. Then the crystal mantis made a sound that might have been surprise. Humans from Earth? Yes. We would like to open diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council and— You will follow us to Unity Prime, the alien interrupted. The Council will decide what to do with you. It was not a request. 2 weeks later, the Hope's journey arrived at Unity Prime, escorted by Council warships like a prisoner. The massive station hung in space like a small moon, covered in lights and docking bays. Captain Rodriguez and her senior officers were brought before the Grand Chamber, the same room that Sarah Chen had watched from across the galaxy years ago. The chamber was even more impressive in person. Hundreds of aliens filled the curved seats representing dozens of different species. Some were beautiful, others were terrifying, and all of them turned to watch as the humans entered. Jennifer and her team walked down the central aisle, their boots echoing in the enormous space. At the center of the chamber, a raised platform held the Council Arbiter, a being that looked like living shadow with eyes like stars. Its voice filled the room without needing a speaker. So, the primitives of Earth have finally left their cradle, it said, and Jennifer heard amusement in its tone. How quaint. Jennifer stepped forward and bowed slightly, the way the diplomacy training had taught her. Honored Arbiter, we come seeking peaceful contact. Earth wishes to join the community of spacefaring civilizations and— Laughter interrupted her. It started from one section of the chamber and spread like a wave. Aliens of every shape and size were laughing at her, at them, at Earth. The blue-scaled alien that Sarah had seen in the recording years ago stood up. Join us? You think you can just appear in our space and demand membership in the Council? Its 6 arms gestured mockingly. You are children playing dress-up. Go home before you hurt yourselves. Another alien, this one looking like a floating jellyfish of purple light, spoke next. The humans are parasitic vermin, spreading through space without permission or invitation. They have no respect for established order. Jennifer felt anger rising in her chest but forced it down. We have colonized uninhabited systems. We have harmed no one. We ask only for recognition and the right to exist among the stars. The Arbiter's eyes blazed brighter. You ask for rights? Rights are earned through centuries of proving one's species is worthy. You have earned nothing. Your colonies are illegal. Your presence in Council space is illegal. You will evacuate all extrasolar settlements within 30 standard days. That's impossible, Jennifer protested. We have families, children, entire communities. 30 days, the Arbiter repeated. Or we will evacuate them for you. This audience is concluded. Council security guards, massive beings in powered armor, stepped forward. They grabbed the human delegation roughly, pulling them toward the exit. One guard shoved Jennifer's first officer, Commander Park, so hard that he stumbled and fell. Another kicked him when he tried to get up. Move, primitive, the guard growled. The humans were dragged out of the Grand Chamber while laughter and jeering followed them. They were thrown onto their ship and told to leave immediately. The Hope's journey departed Unity Prime with its crew bruised, humiliated, and angry. But the Council was not done. The video recording of the encounter was broadcast across Council space, edited and packaged as entertainment. Aliens across 1,000 worlds watched the humans beg for recognition and laughed at their rejection. The video went viral in the galaxy, shared and commented on millions of times. Did you see their faces when the Arbiter said no? One comment read, Priceless. Imagine thinking you deserve a council seat after barely inventing FTL, wrote another. Human arrogance is hilarious. The recording reached Earth through the monitoring stations. It spread across human space in hours. Every colony, every settlement, every person saw their representatives mocked and humiliated. They saw Commander Park kicked while he was down. They saw the contempt in alien eyes. In the observation station near Titan, Sarah Chen watched the video 3 times before she allowed herself to feel anything. Then she allowed herself to feel everything. The anger came first, hot and sharp. Then came determination, cold and clear. Get me Admiral Webb, she said to Kenji, and contact all colony governors. I want a unified response. Admiral Webb appeared on the screen within minutes. His face was carved from stone, showing no emotion, but Sarah could see the fury in his eyes. I've seen it, he said before Sarah could speak. The whole fleet has seen it. The whole world has seen it. They made a mistake, Sarah said quietly. Yes, Webb agreed. They think humiliation will make us crawl home with our tails between our legs. They don't understand that they just unified every human in every system against them. How long until we're ready? Webb looked at something off-screen. Probably tactical displays and fleet readiness reports. The shipyards can accelerate. We have 73 warships fully operational. Another 40 in final testing. If we push, we can have over 100 combat-ready vessels in 3 months. Do it, Sarah said. I'm going to request authorization from the United Earth government for military action. You'll get it, Webb said with certainty. People are angry. They're scared. They want to know we can protect ourselves. The communication from New Horizons colony came next. Governor Maria Santos appeared on screen, her face tired but determined. Behind her, Sarah could see colonists gathering in the settlement's central square. Ambassador Chen, Governor Santos said, we've received the council's ultimatum. The people here are asking what we should do. Should we evacuate? Sarah looked at the governor, at the colonists visible behind her, at the children playing in the square of a world they called home. She thought about the 5,000 people who had traveled light years to build something new, something better. No, Sarah said firmly. You will not evacuate. Earth does not abandon its people. Prepare your defenses and stay calm. Help is coming. After the communication ended, Kenji spoke quietly from his console. We're really going to do this? Go to war with the council? They fired the first shot, Sarah replied. Not with weapons, but with contempt. They think we're weak. They think we'll run away. They're about to learn the most important lesson about humanity. What's that? Sarah looked out the window at the stars, at the galaxy that thought Earth was beneath notice. We're at our most dangerous when someone hurts our people, and they just hurt all of us. The message from Earth's government came 6 hours later. The United Earth Council had voted unanimously. The military was authorized to take all necessary actions to protect human colonies and interests. There would be no surrender. There would be no retreat. Earth had stayed quiet for 5 years, watching and learning while the galaxy laughed at them. But the laughter had gone too far. The insults had cut too deep. And now Earth was going to show the galaxy what happened when you mistook patience for weakness. Admiral Webb began moving fleet elements into position. The hidden shipyards went into overdrive. Across 12 human colonies, defense systems came online and militias began training. The Council had given Earth 30 days to evacuate. They would not get what they expected. They would get something else entirely. They would get Earth's answer, delivered not in words but in actions, and the galaxy would never forget what happened next. 28 days had passed since the Council's ultimatum. 2 days remained before the deadline, and Earth had publicly announced its intention to comply with the evacuation order. Transport ships were being prepared. Colonists were packing their belongings. The galaxy watched with satisfaction as the primitives learned their place. But what the Council saw was not the whole truth. While civilian transports moved toward the colonies, military vessels moved in the opposite direction, hidden by stealth technology that Council sensors could not detect. While colonists appeared to pack up their homes, they were actually reinforcing defensive positions underground. Earth was not surrendering. Earth was preparing. At New Horizons colony, Governor Santos stood on her porch and watched the evening sky. The transport ships from Earth had arrived in orbit, massive civilian vessels meant to carry the 5,000 colonists away from their homes. But those ships were not going to be used for evacuation. They were going to be used as cover. Governor, her assistant called from inside the house. The Council enforcement fleet just dropped out of FTL. They're here. Maria Santos nodded and walked inside, where a holographic display showed 12 Council warships entering the system. They were led by a massive vessel that identified itself as the Righteous Fury, commanded by a Cathraxi admiral named Vector. The Cathraxi were a species that looked like upright lizards with red scales and yellow eyes. They had a reputation for cruelty. The communication came quickly. Admiral Vector's face appeared on the screen, his reptilian features twisted into what might have been a smile. Human colonists of New Horizons, he said in a hissing voice. I am Admiral Vector of the Council Enforcement Division. You have been given the honor of relocation to a reservation world where your species will be properly supervised. You will board the transport vessels immediately. Bring only what you can carry. All property and structures will be seized by the Council. Governor Santos took a deep breath and pressed the button to respond. Admiral, we are prepared to comply. However, We request permission to bring essential equipment and supplies needed to restart our colony elsewhere." Vector's laugh was a harsh sound. "You misunderstand. You are not restarting your colony. You are being placed on a reservation world where you will remain until you learn to respect council authority. Now board the transports. You have 2 hours." The connection cut off before Maria could respond. She looked at the families gathering in the central square, parents holding children's hands, elderly couples supporting each other. They all knew the plan, but seeing it happen was different than preparing for it. The colonists boarded the council transport ships as ordered. They moved slowly, carrying bags and suitcases, looking back at their homes with tears in their eyes. The council enforcers watched with weapons ready, ensuring compliance. It looked like a peaceful evacuation. It looked like Earth had given up. Inside the transport ships, the colonists were herded into cargo holds like animals. The ships were not designed for passenger comfort. They were designed for moving large numbers of beings efficiently. Families were separated, sorted into different sections. When people protested, they were pushed roughly into place. A little girl, no more than 7 years old, started crying for her mother. She had been separated from her parents in the sorting process, frightened and alone among strangers. A Cathraxi enforcer walked over to her, its red scales gleaming under the harsh lights. "Silence, human child," it hissed. The girl only cried harder, calling for her mother. The enforcer raised its clawed hand and struck her across the face, sending her sprawling to the floor. Blood ran from her split lip. "I said silence." Other colonists rushed forward to help the child, but more enforcers appeared, weapons raised. The humans backed away slowly, helping the crying girl to her feet. But one colonist, a young man named David Chen, had managed to keep his personal communication device hidden. He activated its camera and recorded everything. The strike, the blood, the fear in the child's eyes. He encrypted the file and sent it to every human contact address he knew before the enforcers could find and confiscate his device. The footage reached Earth 16 hours later. It spread through human space like wildfire. Every person in every colony and every settlement saw it. They saw the child bleeding. They saw the casual cruelty. They saw what the council really thought of them. Sarah Chen watched the video from her office on Earth. She watched it once, then closed her eyes and sat in silence for a long moment. When she opened them again, something had changed in her expression. The diplomat who had counseled patience was gone. In her place was something harder, something colder. She opened a channel to Admiral Webb. "Execute Operation Quiet Thunder." Webb nodded. He had been waiting for those words. "Acknowledged. All fleet elements are in position. We begin in 1 hour." Sarah then requested an emergency session of the United Earth Assembly. The representatives gathered in Geneva, their faces appearing on screens from across the solar system and beyond. The chamber was filled with the murmur of angry voices. The Speaker of the Assembly called for order. "Ambassador Chen has requested to address us." "The floor is yours, Ambassador." Sarah stood at the podium and looked at the faces of humanity's elected leaders. She did not have notes. She did not need them. "Members of the Assembly," she began, her voice clear and steady. "For 5 years we have followed a policy of quiet observation. We watched the galaxy. We learned from them. We built our strength in secret. We did this because we believed that patience would serve us better than hasty action." She paused and activated the holographic display behind her. The image of the child being struck played on screens across the chamber. Several representatives turned away. Others watched with clenched fists. We were patient when the council called us primitives. We were dignified when they laughed at our diplomatic overtures. We were restrained when they ordered us to abandon our colonies. Sarah's voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath. "But this is different. They have hurt our children. They have separated our families. They have treated our people like animals." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every representative she could see. "I stand before you today to say that our patience has limits, our restraint has boundaries, and the council has crossed them." She paused. "We tried silence. We tried dignity. They mistake our patience for weakness. No more." The chamber erupted in applause. The speaker did not call for order this time. He let the representatives express what they all felt. When the noise finally died down, Sarah continued. "Admiral Webb has prepared a military response. Our fleets are in position. Our technology is superior to theirs. We can win this fight, she leaned forward. But I want to be clear about what this means. If we do this, we are going to war with a galactic power that has ruled space for thousands of years. There will be casualties. There will be sacrifices. And we can never go back to being the quiet species watching from the shadows. What are you asking us to do, Ambassador? The speaker asked, though everyone in the room already knew the answer. I am asking for authorization to respond to Council aggression with appropriate force. I am asking permission to show them that humanity is not a species to be bullied or humiliated. I am asking you to let us demonstrate that Earth's silence was never weakness. It was preparation. The vote was called. The results came quickly. The authorization passed with only 2 dissenting votes. Earth was going to war. Sarah contacted Admiral Webb again. You have full authorization. Show them what we've built. With pleasure, Webb replied. Fleet elements are entering attack positions now. We'll hit them hard and fast across 15 systems simultaneously. By the time they realize what's happening, we'll have control of all their border territories. What about the colonists on the transport ships? Marine teams are standing by. We'll board the transports first, secure our people, then move on to military targets. Webb paused. Sarah, when this is over, the galaxy is going to be very different. Good, Sarah said simply. It needs to be. Across human space, warships that had been hiding in the darkness powered up their engines. Crews that had been training in secret received their final orders. Weapon systems came online. The fleet that Earth had built in silence was about to announce itself to the galaxy. In the council chambers on Unity Prime, the Arbiter was receiving reports of the human evacuation. Everything appeared to be proceeding smoothly. The primitives were learning their place. But on the screens showing deep space sensors, something strange was beginning to appear. Small contacts, dozens of them, moving at high speed toward Council territory. The sensor officer stared at the readings in confusion. Sir, I'm detecting multiple unknown vessels emerging from stealth. They're moving toward our border systems. The Arbiter turned its star-like eyes toward the screen. Unknown vessels? Identify them. The sensor officer worked frantically at his console. Then his face went pale. Sir, they're human. Dozens of human warships. And they're not running away. He looked up with fear in his eyes. They're attacking. In her office on Earth, Sarah Chen stood at the window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Admiral Webb was beginning the operation that would change everything. Somewhere out there, human warships were about to teach the Council the most important lesson of all. Never missed, the EFS Indomitable dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Cathraxi system, and with it came 47 other human warships. They appeared on Council sensors like ghosts materializing from nothing, their stealth systems disengaging in perfect coordination. Admiral Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the tactical display light up with targets. All ships, this is Admiral Webb. You know your assignments. Execute with precision. Minimize civilian casualties. Show them what Earth is capable of, he paused. And bring our people home. Across 15 Council border systems, the same scene was repeating itself. Human fleets emerged from the darkness where they had been waiting. Hidden by technology the Council did not know existed. 5 years of watching and learning had taught humanity exactly where the Council's weaknesses were. 5 years of preparation had given them the tools to exploit those weaknesses. The Council forces were caught completely by surprise. Their ships were powerful but slow to respond. Their tactics were ancient, unchanged for centuries because they had never needed to change. No one had ever challenged the Council's dominance. No one had ever dared to attack them, until now. In the Cathraxi system, the human fleet moved with coordinated efficiency. The first targets were the transport ships holding human colonists. Marine assault shuttles launched from the Indomitable, and her sister ships, racing toward the Council transports at speeds that pushed the limits of their inertial dampeners. Major Lisa Rodriguez led the first boarding team. She was Captain Jennifer Rodriguez's younger sister, and she had volunteered for this mission the moment she learned about the Council's cruelty. Her assault shuttle slammed into the transport ship's docking port with precise force, cutting through the hull and creating a breach. Go, 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 she shouted, and her Marines poured into the ship. The Cathraxian forces inside were not prepared for armed humans in powered armor. The Marines moved with brutal efficiency, their training and superior equipment overwhelming the surprised aliens. Within minutes, the transport's control room was secured. This is Major Rodriguez to all human colonists. Lisa broadcast on all frequencies. This is the United Earth Marines. We're here to take you home. Stay calm and follow our personnel to the evacuation points. She found the little girl who had been struck, still crying in a cargo hold with dozens of other separated children. The girl looked up at Lisa's armored form with wide, frightened eyes. Lisa removed her helmet so the child could see her face. "Hey there, sweetheart. What's your name?" "Emma," the girl whispered, touching her split lip. "Well, Emma, I'm Lisa, and I'm here to take you back to your parents. Would you like that?" The girl nodded, and Lisa picked her up gently. Around them, other Marines were gathering the children, reuniting families, and moving colonists toward the waiting shuttles. The operation that was supposed to relocate them to a reservation world had become a rescue mission. While the Marines worked, Admiral Webb's fleet engaged the Council military forces. The Cathraxi warships moved to intercept, their commanders confident in their superior numbers. They outnumbered the human fleet 3-1, but numbers were not everything. The human warships opened fire with weapons the Council had never seen before. Railguns accelerated projectiles to relativistic speeds, turning simple metal slugs into devastating kinetic weapons. The projectiles punched through Council shields like they were not there, tearing holes in alien hulls. Missile swarms guided by artificial intelligence dodged defensive fire with impossible precision, finding weak points in enemy ships and exploiting them. Directed energy weapons, more powerful and efficient than anything the Council possessed, carved through armor plating like hot knives through butter. The Cathraxi flagship Righteous Fury tried to respond, but its weapons were designed for an older era of warfare. Its plasma cannons were powerful but slow, and the human ships were too fast, too maneuverable. Admiral Vector watched in horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled. "Impossible," he hissed, his yellow eyes wide. "They are primitives. How do they have such technology?" His tactical officer looked up from his console with fear on his reptilian face. "Admiral, we've lost 6 ships already. Their weapons are far more advanced than ours. And their tactics, they're predicting our every move." Vector slammed his clawed hand on his command chair. "All ships concentrate fire on their flagship. Kill their admiral and they will fall apart." But the human fleet did not fall apart. They adapted instantly, their formation shifting to protect the Indomitable while maintaining their offensive pressure. The Council ships concentrated their fire, but the human shields held. And then the Indomitable fired back. The flagship's main railgun, a weapon that ran the entire length of the ship, discharged with a flash of blue light. The projectile crossed the distance between the Indomitable and the Righteous Fury in less than a second. It hit the Cathraxi flagship's bridge section dead center. Admiral Vector had time to see the projectile coming on his sensors, time to realize what was about to happen, but no time to do anything about it. The impact shattered the front third of his ship, explosive decompression tearing through the bridge and command sections. Vector and his entire command staff died instantly. "Righteous Fury is destroyed," the Indomitable's tactical officer reported calmly. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation. Multiple ships are requesting permission to surrender." Admiral Webb watched the chaos on his tactical display. The Cathraxi fleet, which had seemed so confident minutes ago, was now in complete disarray. Ships were fleeing or trying to surrender. Their commander was dead, and they had no idea how to fight an enemy like this. "Accept surrenders from any ship that powers down weapons and shields," Webb ordered. "Destroy any that continue to resist." He turned to his communication officer. "Broadcast our message on all Council frequencies. Across the Cathraxi system, across all 15 systems where human fleets had struck simultaneously, the same message played. It was Sarah Chen's voice, calm and clear. "To all Council forces, this is Ambassador Sarah Chen of the United Earth Government. You had a choice. You chose mockery over diplomacy. You chose cruelty over kindness. You chose to hurt our people, to separate our families, to treat us like animals." Her voice remained steady, but there was ice underneath. "This is the consequence of your choice. Earth is not a species of victims. We are not primitives to be bullied. We are not children to be patronized. We are humanity, and we have been preparing for this moment since the day we first heard you laugh at us." The message continued as human fleets secured system after system. The Council's military forces, built on centuries of unchallenged dominance, crumbled against an enemy that had studied them for 5 years and built weapons specifically designed to counter their strengths. In the Zetharian home system, the orbital defense platforms that had protected their world for 1,000 years were disabled in 4 hours. The Zetharian Grand Admiral, watching from the surface, could not believe what he was seeing. In the Nexus Prime system, home to the Council's military headquarters, human ships appeared in overwhelming numbers. The Council Arbiter, still in the Grand Chamber where he had humiliated the human delegation weeks ago, received reports of the assault with disbelief. "How many ships?" he demanded. "Over 100, Arbiter," his military advisor stammered, "and they're not stopping. They're demanding our surrender." "Surrender? To them?" The Arbiter's star-like eyes blazed with fury. "We are the Council. We have ruled this galaxy for—" An explosion rocked the station as human missiles struck the military command center. Emergency lights flickered on as main power failed. The Arbiter stumbled, and for the first time in his long life, he felt something he had not experienced in centuries: fear. On the Indomitable's bridge, Admiral Webb received confirmation that all colonists had been evacuated from the transport ships. The rescue operation was complete. Every human who had been taken by the Council was now safe aboard Earth's ships. "Status report on all theaters," he ordered. The tactical officer worked his console, gathering data from across 15 star systems. "Sir, all primary objectives achieved. Council military forces in all target systems have either surrendered or been neutralized. Civilian casualties are minimal. Our casualties are light, mostly minor injuries. No ships lost." Webb allowed himself a small smile. "Excellent. Prepare to move on the secondary targets, and someone find me a communication channel to the Council Arbiter. I believe he'll want to talk to us now." The channel opened and the Arbiter's face appeared on screen. The being of living shadow that had seemed so powerful and confident weeks ago now looked diminished, almost small. "Admiral Webb," the Arbiter said, and his voice held none of its earlier arrogance. We wish to discuss terms, I'm sure you do," Webb replied coldly. "But I'm not the one you need to convince. You're going to talk to Ambassador Chen, and this time you're going to listen." Sarah Chen's image appeared on every screen in the Grand Chamber, broadcast to every council member and every world in there. 6 weeks after the first shot was fired, the war was over. The Galactic Council, which had ruled known space for millennia with unchallenged authority, had surrendered to a species they had dismissed as primitives. The galaxy was still trying to understand what had happened. The formal ceremony took place on Unity Prime, in the same Grand Chamber where human diplomats had been humiliated and laughed at. But this time the chamber was quiet. This time everyone was listening. Sarah Chen walked down the central aisle with Admiral Webb at her side. Behind them came representatives from every human colony, including Governor Santos from New Horizons and Captain Jennifer Rodriguez from the Hope's Journey. They wore formal diplomatic attire, not weapons or armor, but everyone in the chamber knew that dozens of human warships orbited the station above them. The council members sat in their curved seats, watching with expressions that ranged from fear to respect to careful neutrality. The purple jellyfish that had called humans parasitic vermin looked smaller somehow, its light dimmed. The blue-scaled alien with 6 arms kept all of them folded submissively. The Council Arbiter stood at the central platform, no longer surrounded by the trappings of absolute power. A holographic document floated in the air between him and Sarah, containing the terms of surrender that Earth had dictated. "Ambassador Chen," the Arbiter said, and his voice was quiet now, respectful. "The Galactic Council formally recognizes the United Earth Government as a sovereign power. We acknowledge human territorial claims to all currently occupied systems. We agree to pay reparations for damages and suffering caused to human colonists." He paused, and Sarah could hear the bitterness in his tone. "And we apologize for our treatment of your people." Sarah nodded slowly. She could have demanded a more elaborate apology, could have made them grovel and beg, but that was not what Earth wanted. Humiliation had started this conflict. More humiliation would not build a better future. "The United Earth Government accepts the Council's surrender," she said clearly. "We look forward to building a new relationship with all Council species. One based on mutual respect, fair treatment, and the understanding that no species is beneath another." The Arbiter touched the holographic document with one shadow-formed hand, and his signature appeared in light. Sarah did the same, and the treaty was sealed. Around the chamber there was no applause, no celebration, just silence and the weight of change. But then something unexpected happened. 3 council members stood up. They were from species that had never held much power in the council, smaller civilizations that had been dominated by the larger ones. One of them, a being that looked like a walking flower with crystalline petals, spoke. Ambassador Chen, my species wishes to request a formal alliance with Earth. We have watched how you protect your people, how you fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. This is something the Council has never done for us. The flower being looked at the Arbiter. We are tired of being ruled by those who care nothing for our welfare. Sarah glanced at Admiral Webb, who gave a slight nod. Earth is willing to discuss defensive alliances with any species that seeks peaceful cooperation, she said carefully. But we will not become the new Council. We will not rule over others. We do not want a new ruler, another council member said, this one resembling a floating sphere of blue energy. We want partners who will stand with us, not above us. The Arbiter watched this with something like shock. The council was fracturing before his eyes, and there was nothing he could do about it. Earth had not just defeated the council militarily. They had shown the galaxy that there was an alternative to the old order. After the ceremony, Sarah stood on an observation deck looking out at the stars. Admiral Webb joined her, 2 cups of coffee in his hands. He offered her one, and she took it with a tired smile. We did it, Webb said quietly. Earth is recognized. Our colonies are secure. No one will threaten us again. For now, Sarah corrected. But the galaxy is still a dangerous place, Marcus. There are powers out there we haven't met yet, threats we haven't prepared for. Then we'll prepare for them the same way we prepared for this, Webb replied, by watching, learning, and building. Earth's strength has always been our ability to adapt. Sarah sipped her coffee and watched a human warship glide past the window, its hull marked with the emblem of the United Earth Navy. What do you think will happen to the Council? It's already happening, Webb said. 8 species have formally requested alliance treaties with Earth. Another dozen are asking for trade agreements. The Zetharians and Cathraxi are trying to rebuild what we destroyed, but they've lost most of their authority. The Council will probably survive in some form, but it will never be what it was. Good, Sarah said simply. It was broken. It needed to change. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, then Webb spoke again. The casualty reports are final. We lost 47 personnel during the entire campaign. The Council lost over 30,000. Sarah closed her eyes. 47 families who would never see their loved ones again. 47 people who had died because the Council refused to respect human dignity. Make sure their families are taken care of. Full benefits, education for their children, whatever they need. Already done, Webb assured her. And there's something else you should know. The colonists on New Horizons voted to name their central square after that little girl, Emma's Square, a reminder of why we fought. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes but blinked them away. How is she? Healing, both physically and emotionally. Her parents say she wants to be a Marine when she grows up, like Major Rodriguez. Webb smiled slightly. Speaking of which, Lisa Rodriguez has been promoted to colonel for her actions during the rescue operation. She earned it, Sarah agreed. A chime sounded, and Dr. Kenji Tanaka's face appeared on a communication screen nearby. Ambassador, you asked me to prepare a report on Council psychology and how this conflict might affect future relations. Yes, Sarah said, turning to face the screen. What did you find? Kenji pushed his glasses up his nose, a gesture he made when he was nervous. Well, the interesting thing is that the Council species have never really been tested like this. They've existed in a stable hierarchy for so long that they forgot how to adapt to change. When we challenged them, they didn't know how to respond effectively. So they're not as advanced as they pretended to be, Webb said. Not in the ways that matter, Kenji agreed. They have old technology, old thinking. They became complacent. Meanwhile, Earth has been fighting and struggling and changing for our entire history. We're used to adversity. It makes us stronger. Sarah nodded slowly. So the lesson is that power without challenge leads to weakness. Exactly, Kenji said. And there's something else. Several Council species are starting cultural exchange programs with us. They want to learn about human art, music, literature, philosophy. They're curious about a species that could go from primitive to powerful so quickly. Let them learn, Sarah said. The more we understand each other, the less likely we are to fight again. The next day, Sarah attended the reunion ceremony at New Horizons Colony. The transport ships carrying the evacuated colonists had been intercepted before they could reach the reservation world, and every single colonist was being returned home. Families who had been separated were reunited. Children ran laughing through streets that had seemed empty for weeks. Governor Santos found Sarah in the crowd. "Ambassador, thank you. Thank you for not abandoning us." "Earth never abandons its people," Sarah replied, the same words she had said weeks ago. "That's a promise we intend to keep." She watched as Emma, the little girl who had been struck by the Cathraxi enforcer, ran to her parents and was swept up in their arms. The split lip had healed, leaving only a small scar. But the girl was smiling now, safe and home. Major Lisa Rodriguez stood nearby, watching the reunion with satisfaction. Sarah walked over to her. "Colonel Rodriguez," Sarah said, emphasizing the new rank. "You and your Marines performed excellently." "Just doing our job, Ambassador," Lisa replied. "Though I won't lie, punching through that transport ship to get our people back felt pretty good." Sarah smiled. "I imagine it did." Months passed. The new order settled into place. Earth became a permanent member of what was now called the Reformed Galactic Council, with full veto power and an equal voice in all decisions. The old hierarchy was replaced with a more democratic system. Species that had been marginalized for centuries suddenly had representation and power. Trade routes opened between Earth and friendly alien species. Human technology flowed outward while alien knowledge flowed in. Cultural exchange programs brought alien students to Earth universities and human students to alien worlds. The galaxy was learning that cooperation worked better than domination. Admiral Webb oversaw the formation of a joint defense fleet, combining human ships with vessels from allied species. It was designed to protect all member worlds from external threats and to ensure that no single species could dominate the others. Dr. Kenji Tanaka became the director of the new Interspecies Cultural Institute, working to build understanding and prevent the kind of prejudice that had led to the conflict. Thank you for watching and comment for next part.